Hello Sebastien, welcome back to IndyCar. First of all, it's good to see you back in the series here in Toronto, and also congratulations on your win last weekend in Imola with Peugeot. Obviously you have a successful sports car career. What made you decide to return to IndyCar first of all?
Well, it's always been in the back of my mind, obviously. Sometimes very much at the front. But it's just about opportunities, and last year we talked with Dale and it just didn't seem right. We're waiting for our second child and stuff, and it just wasn't the right timing. And then this year we took a look at the schedule that I had with Peugeot, and it was just right. I could do the road course schedule and do my program with Peugeot at the same time with no conflicts, so it was perfect, and that's really the reason why we decided to do it. I think Dale's wanted to try and step up his organization, and I was very happy to hear that, and he was offering a decent deal. And,
so it all came together pretty smoothly in the end?
Yeah, well, no.
Okay.
on the first... on what we wanted to do, I think everybody was pretty much on the same frequency, but it just turned out to be a lot harder than we would have liked, because when I committed to it, then most of the team members were gone, and it just turned into a pretty uphill battle. But things are coming together, and it's for sure it took quite a few races, and we're not where we want to be, but it's definitely moving in the right direction, and I think all we can hope is that we finish the season, on a high, just kind of walking our way through it and just getting better week in, week out.
Good. Okay. Now, your previous success in North America came with obviously Newman Haas, and many would have expected you to return potentially with them. Was that ever a possibility?
Well, I mean, we stayed in touch. I got a lot of friends over there, and I spoke to Bernie and Carl, and it just wasn't meant to be. It just is really, really tough to find sponsors, and unfortunately, it's not only about what you want to do; it's about what you can do, and it just wasn't right. They just couldn't commit, and Bernie didn't want to do a bad deal. So we just said, well, we'll stay in touch and see what happens, and for sure the loss of Paul, and then which led to the loss of McDonald's, really hurt the team, and then from there it just it's not that they didn't want to do it, it's just that it was just not feasible.
Yeah. Okay. Now, how difficult did you find it running with going with a front running team like Peugeot, and then coming to race for Coin, which is obviously a smaller team, it's still rebuilding? How do you find adjusting between the two?
Well, it's completely different deals,
Absolutely.
I mean, you have to, in endurance with Peugeot, it's a big factory, and you have a lot of inertia, a lot of very high-tech stuff, but in the meantime, you're not alone in the organization, you're not the only input in the team, you got 9 drivers, and things are moving pretty slowly in the end, because you're going to have one who wants something one way, and the furthest apart on the other side, so at the end of the day it's status quo for many things.
But sort of mentally it's not a problem adjusting between the two programs?
It's just really completely different.
And
but it's why it's also quite cool to get back in an IndyCar, because it's your own deal, it's getting the car to your liking, and getting into details and like that.
Actually, that leads me on to my next question, which what changes have you been able to make since you joined the Coin team, and how is the car progressing since your last race in Brazil?
Well, we've had Neil Fife coming as a consultant, and he's really helped Scotty to try and get things figured out. He's got a lot of experience, and he's quite calm and knows a lot of what does what on this car, and it's really crucial. Obviously, with the limit running you get, and how different this car is to a Champ car. So it really is all about just making the right decisions at the right moment, and it's definitely helped that. The biggest struggle has been to just kind of that basically we've been in a fixing situation after all the crashes, and on ovals, and James had the brake failure in mid-Ohio, so we lost another car, and the guys just basically spend their entire time and energy trying to recover, rather than just being able to kind of fine-tune and go on the 7-post rig and do the things that we would want to do.
Right.
So at the end of the day, you know, it's just for sure we're paying the price for just starting that program a bit too late, and you know, it's just coming together a little later than we like, but it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, you know, all that really matters is that coming year end, you know, we are to a level where we feel, you know, content with ourselves.
So you're seeing, since you started the program to where you are now, you're seeing progress in terms of, you know, technical, you know, people coming on board, and
I mean, we started just about as far as we could, really.
Right.
And we're not where we want to be, but for sure. In Brazil, we made the top 12 for the very first time, and today we're P7 in qualifying. And
fantastic result, by the way. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't call that fantastic, but given the circumstances, it is it is a satisfying achievement. So we're, you know, hopefully going to keep on moving in the right direction and get it to as close as we can to the front. Right.
Now, IndyCar's double file restarts have been obviously very controversial this year, popular with many fans, but obviously some drivers have been very vocal in their criticism. What are your thoughts, and do you think we could see maybe a race tomorrow full of accidents and safety cars because of the restarts?
Well, the for sure thing is that one safety car leads to another. Right. So, you know, obviously the double file restarts are not responsible for the first one, but they mostly are for the next ones. And I think it hurts racing because, you know, you got a lot of good cars getting involved into things that should not happen. And
so would you say it's probably an artificial development for the series, or?
Well, I think it's not a good thing.
Right. Okay.
Because I don't see how and why people would like to see 30 minutes of yellow flags.
Yeah.
Which has been a pretty consistent thing. You know, in Bourdais, once you get one, you get people excited. They get nailed on one, so they try to make up on the next one, and they make a wreck. You know, it was like that in Saint-Pierre. It was like that in Bourdais, and you know, some places where you can accelerate off the last corner, like maybe here, it might actually not be that bad, but some places, like when the straights are, you know, you have to wait a long time for the flag and everybody gets bunched up and stuff. Absolutely. It's just a massive disaster, and you know, I wouldn't call it risky, because, you know, on these type of races it's not really the point. The point is it's just stupid because you're losing good cars, and I think it makes no sense. Right.
Now, considering where you've started this year in terms of, you know, with the team and where you are now, obviously 7th on the grid, it's certainly a good start for the race tomorrow. What do you think you and the team can achieve together for the remaining races this year? Any expectations? Any goals?
Honestly, you know, there are. I mean, Mid-Ohio, I've only been there once, and Sonoma, I don't know. And I think our road course setup is a lot less achieved than the street course one. I think we really suffered in Bourdais, and I don't think we're gonna have an easy time again unless we can really get things to the next step. I think you can make up for some on street courses, but on road courses, if the car is not there, it's another story.
Yeah.
It's all about grip, really. So I think our street course setup is getting somewhere, and we got Edmonton, which is going to be, I think, very close to a street course setup because the nature of the track, which has evolved to a much tighter course with a lot less fast corners,
and
just
this year.
It's just a braking, acceleration, slow corner stuff, bumpy and everything. So I think it will be pretty close to what this kind of stuff is, and then we're going to go to Mid-Ohio and Sonoma. We're going to really have to step up our game, otherwise we're going to get beat pretty good. And then we'll have Baltimore, which is going to be a new one for everyone, and then I don't know if I'll be able to do Motegi because of some scheduling stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's why it's important to try and do well here, because I think you know, we might have then Edmonton, and then we're gonna have to really find something for the road course setup.
Right. Okay. Okay. Now, looking back at your time in Formula One, what were you able to learn from your time there in Formula One? I mean, were you able to take any positives from the experience, looking back at it at all?
Not really.
Okay.
I think I just didn't feel comfortable in
Right.
the way the whole thing plays,
Yeah.
and it was just one of these situations where you're happy with the car, good for you. If you're not, then drive it.
Yeah, I heard, and maybe you can just confirm if this is true, but I heard that it was very much a situation where here's the car and figure out how to drive it. Is that pretty much how it was?
It is, because the cars are the way they are.
Right.
It's not like these cars where you can change suspension geometries and make it to your liking and change the damping and everything. Everything's ruled by the aero map of the car, and that is not changeable. It changes whenever there's an update. So if it suits you, great. If it doesn't, then sorry.
Right.
Sometimes not even sorry.
Right.
And it's a matter of just being able to drive whatever you got in your hands, and the very, very good drivers like Vettel these days are just capable of extracting the very best of whatever they're given, and that's a quality, but that's not mine. And that's why I really suffered in F1, because sometimes the car was close to my liking, and sometimes it was miles away, and I just could not drive the bloody thing. It didn't matter how quick it was; I was not comfortable in the car. And they've got a very limited amount of mechanical grip. Everything coming from the downforce, and that.
Plus lack of testing.
I didn't really get a feel for what the car, for where the limit was, and I was always kind of either undershooting or overshooting, but never kind of surfing the wave, and I just didn't have a good time because of that. And then obviously it's so frustrating when you're being responsible for a lack of result, but at the same time nobody does anything for you. They just keep on saying, well, you're not delivering what we're expecting from you and stuff, and at the end of the day it's like, well, what are you doing for me?
Absolutely.
And you're not walking hand in hand, you're just walking against each other, and they keep on being critical about your implication in the team, and they don't believe that you do whatever 100% you could, and that just made no sense for me. So at some point I just said, well, if you don't think that I give my very best, and we shouldn't be working together.
Sure.
And 2 weeks later, that was that, which was the best thing they did, for sure.